The hospital's emergency room hummed with its usual midnight chaos as Caleb Morrow scrubbed his hands at the nurse's station. 3 years as a trauma surgeon had taught him to compartmentalize, focus on the patient, ignore everything else.
We need to
His
talk about
phone
this now.
vibrated
It's
against
important.
his
I know,
hip.
but not here. Let's go
Serena's
inside.
name flashed across the screen. Hey, just finished a procedure. Everything okay? He wedged the phone between his shoulder and ear while reviewing a chart. Caleb. Her voice carried that particular brightness she used when performing for others. Something tightened in his chest. I wanted to let you know, I'm finalizing the divorce today. The background noise hit him then. Clinking glasses. Female voices. The realization crashed over him. Speakerphone. Oh my God, Serena, you're actually doing it, a voice squealed. About damn time, another added. 3 years of him choosing surgeries over you. Laughter erupted, sharp, cruel, cutting through the phone line like scalpels. Caleb's grip tightened on the chart until his knuckles whitened. He recognized those voices. Jennifer and Amanda, Serena's college friends who'd never hidden their disdain for his profession. Caleb. Serena's voice carried mock concern. You still there? He should have been shocked. Hurt. Instead, he felt eerily calm, the same detachment that settled over him before making a critical incision. Because unlike Serena and her wine-drunk audience, he knew something they didn't. For 3 months, he'd known about Lucas Hale. The first clue had been innocent enough, a restaurant charge on their joint credit card from a night Serena claimed she'd worked late at the marketing firm. Then came the new lingerie he'd never seen her wear. The way she angled her phone away when texting. The sudden interest in hiking, an activity she'd always despised, that coincided with Lucas's Instagram posts from local trails. Caleb had hired a private investigator not out of jealousy, but necessity. The financial irregularities he'd noticed required proof. Withdrawals from their savings account. Transfers to accounts he didn't recognize. His signature on documents he'd never signed, including preliminary divorce papers filed 6 weeks ago without his knowledge. I'm here, he said quietly, his voice cutting through their laughter. Just one question, Serena. The mocking noise faded slightly. Does Lucas know you've been draining our accounts? Silence. Does he know about the forged signatures? The consultation you had with my attorney, the one who actually called me because something felt off. Complete silence now. Enjoy your wine, Serena. My lawyer will be in touch. He ended the call and returned to his patient, leaving chaos blooming in that wine bar. Serena's hand trembled as she lowered her phone. Around their corner table at Vintage and Vine, her 3 friends had gone statue still. Jennifer's wine glass hovered halfway to her lips. Amanda's smirk had frozen into something uncertain. Rachel, who'd been filming the call for social media, slowly lowered her phone. What just happened? Jennifer finally asked. His bluffing. Serena's voice came out higher than intended. Caleb doesn't pay attention to anything except his precious surgeries. He doesn't even know what I do at work, let alone. You forged his signature. Rachel interrupted, her expression shifting from gleeful to alarmed. Serena, that's... I didn't forge anything. But even as she said it, Serena's mind raced back 3 weeks. Lucas had brought the papers to her apartment, the one she'd rented after moving out of the house she'd shared with Caleb. Just sign here, he'd said, pointing to lines highlighted in yellow. And here, where Caleb would sign. We'll say you both agreed verbally. Speeds everything up. Lucas. Her Lucas, with his confident smile and promises about their future together. The co-worker who'd started in her department 18 months ago, all charm and ambition. Who'd listened to her complaints about Caleb's endless shifts, who'd made her feel seen in ways her husband never had. I need to call Lucas. Serena stood abruptly, nearly knocking over her wine. She retreated to the restaurant's hallway, her heels clicking against hardwood as she dialed. Lucas answered on the 3rd ring, his voice warm and sleepy. She could picture him in his downtown loft, probably in bed. Hey, beautiful. Finished celebrating. Caleb knows. The words tumbled out. About the accounts, about the signatures. Lucas, did we actually forge anything? A pause. Too long. Serena, calm down. What exactly did he say? She repeated the conversation, her voice breaking as she heard it aloud. When she finished, Lucas's breathing had changed. The thing is, he said slowly, I might have expedited some of the financial arrangements. Nothing illegal, just. Expedited? Lucas, he mentioned his attorney. He said someone called him because something felt off. Listen, baby, you're panicking. Caleb's playing you. Think about it. If he actually knew something, why wait until now? Why not confront you weeks ago? The logic should have been comforting. Instead, Serena remembered something she'd always known but chosen to ignore. Caleb Morrow never made rash decisions. He observed, analyzed, planned. It's what made him an exceptional surgeon. And potentially, she realized with growing dread, a formidable opponent. The voicemails kept coming. Between messages, Noah could hear commotion in the background of Kinsley's calls, raised voices, radio static, the unmistakable chaos of a police station. In the sixth message, she'd stopped trying to explain and simply wept. Please, Noah. Please answer. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Just please come get me. He should have felt satisfaction. Sweet, bit of indication that the affair had imploded spectacularly, that consequences had finally arrived. Instead, he felt only numbness spreading through his chest like frost. Noah had loved Kinsley since he was 23 years old. He'd loved her through her mother's death, through his job loss 2 years ago, through every small moment that built a life together. He'd loved her this morning when he'd kissed her goodbye before work, still ignorant of Darren Cole's existence. That love didn't just vanish because she'd shattered it. That was the cruelest part. He still wanted to protect her, even now. His thumb hovered over her contact. One call, and he'd be her hero again. He'd pick her up from the police station, drive her home in silence, and probably forgive her because that's what he'd always done. Kinsley would cry, promise it was over, swear Darren meant nothing. They'd go to counseling. She'd be careful for a few months, then the distance would creep back in. And Noah would spend the rest of his life wondering when she'd find the next Darren Cole. At 2:34 a.m., his phone rang again. This time, Noah answered. Noah, thank God. I read your emails, he said quietly. Silence. Then, what? Your laptop. The password's still our anniversary, in case you forgot. His voice remained steady, almost gentle. I know everything. Kinsley. 5 months. The hotels. What you said about me. Noah, I can explain. You called me boring. Said I couldn't satisfy you. Told him I suspect nothing because I'm too stupid to notice. Each word was a nail in the coffin. Were you going to leave me for him? No. I mean, it wasn't like that. It wasn't serious. He's arrested, and you're calling me. If he'd picked you up tonight, would you have even come home? The question hung between them. Kinsley's breathing was ragged on the other end. I need you, she whispered. Please. We can fix this. I'll end it with Darren. I'll do whatever you want. Just please come get me. Noah looked around their living room, the home they'd built, the life they'd shared. 7 years of memories, and in this moment, all he could see was the woman who described him as a placeholder to another man. I need you, she repeated. No, Noah said softly. You need someone to save you. That's different. What are you saying? I'm saying there's an Uber app on your phone. Figure it out. Noah hung up before Kinsley could respond. His phone immediately lit up again, her name flashing insistently. He powered it off and sat in the sudden silence of their living room. The clock read 2:41 a.m. He should have felt powerful, righteous. Instead, he felt like he'd amputated part of himself, necessary but agonizing. Noah walked to their bedroom and began methodically pulling his clothes from the closet. Shirts. Jeans. The suit he'd worn to his brother's wedding last spring. Each item folded and placed in the suitcase felt like proof that this was real, that he was actually leaving. His hands trembled as he packed his toiletries. In the bathroom mirror, he barely recognized himself, eyes red-rimmed, face haggard. When had he become the man Kinsley described to Darren? The boring, predictable husband too blind to see his own irrelevance? Or had he ever been that man at all? Maybe that was just the story she'd told herself to justify the betrayal. Noah grabbed his laptop, chargers, the photo of his parents from the nightstand. He left the wedding album where it was. At 3:15 a.m., he carried his suitcase to the car, locked the house behind him, and drove to his brother's apartment across town. His phone, powered back on, showed 43 missed calls, 27 voicemails. He deleted them all without listening. He crashed on his brother's couch as dawn broke. When he finally slept, he dreamed of Kinsley, not as she was now, desperate and caught, but as she'd been at 24, laughing at some joke he'd made, looking at him like he was her entire world. Noah woke at noon to 17 text messages. I got home. We need to talk. Noah, please. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. Darren is nothing. He's out on bail and I blocked his number. I choose you. We can get through this. 7 years means something. I love you. Please come home. The last message, sent 20 minutes ago. I'm not giving up on us. Noah stared at those words. Once, they would have melted his resolve. Once, he would have driven home immediately, desperate to rebuild what they'd broken. But as he sat on his brother's couch, morning light streaming through unfamiliar windows, Noah realized something crucial. Kinsley wasn't fighting for him. She was fighting for the safety he represented, the devoted husband who'd always been there to catch her when she fell. She didn't love Noah, she loved having someone who loved her unconditionally, someone whose forgiveness she'd never had to earn. He typed one message back, I'll be by next week for the rest of my things. Then he blocked her number. 3 weeks later, Noah sat across from Kinsley in a lawyer's office. She looked smaller somehow, her usual confidence replaced by something fragile and desperate. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. She'd lost weight. We don't have to do this, she said as the divorce attorney shuffled papers. Noah, please look at me. He did. Objectively, she was still beautiful, the same woman he'd married 7 years ago. But when he looked at her now, all he saw were the emails, the lies, the contempt she'd hidden behind her smile. I ended it with Darren completely, Kinsley continued, her voice breaking. I blocked him everywhere. I told him I was married and I'd made a horrible mistake. I chose you, Noah. I'm choosing you now. You chose me after he got arrested, Noah said quietly. You chose me when you needed rescue at 2:17 in the morning. That's not the same thing. I was confused. He made me feel exciting and desired, and I got caught up in it, but it wasn't real. What we had, that was real. The lawyer cleared his throat uncomfortably. Perhaps we should focus on the division of assets. No. Kinsley's hand shot across the table, reaching for Noah's. He pulled away. Noah, 7 years. We built a life together. You can't just throw that away because I made one mistake. One mistake. Noah's laugh was hollow. Kinsley, you had an affair for 5 months. You met him in hotels. You told him our marriage was a joke. You said I was too boring to notice you were cheating. His voice remained steady, but pain flickered behind his eyes. That's not one mistake. That's hundreds of choices you made every single day. Tears streamed down her face. I was wrong. I was so wrong about everything. You're not boring, you're stable and kind and loyal. Those are good things. I see that now. You see it now because the exciting option disappeared. What happens when the next Darren Cole comes along? When marriage feels routine again? There won't be. You don't know that. Noah finally met her eyes fully. And I can't spend my life wondering. Checking your phone. Questioning every late night. That's not marriage, Kinsley. That's prison. She sobbed openly now, mascara running down her cheeks. The Kinsley he'd married would never have let anyone see her this disheveled. Please. I love you. I know I don't deserve another chance, But I'm begging you. Let me prove I can be better. For a moment, just one moment, Noah wavered. 7 years wasn't nothing. The memories weren't all tainted. There had been real love once, real happiness. Maybe people could change. Maybe forgiveness was possible. Then he remembered sitting alone at 2:17 a.m., reading her messages to Darren, seeing himself described as an obstacle rather than a partner. He remembered the cold certainty in her voice when she'd said, "Maybe we don't come back from this." She'd been ready to walk away when she had better options. She only wanted him now because those options had vanished. "I hope you find what you're looking for," Noah said softly. "But it's not going to be with me." He signed the papers.